Ever feel like when it comes to intimacy, you and your partner just aren't on the same page?
Oh, absolutely. It's like you're both reading completely different books, let alone on the same page.
Right. One of you is ready to go, the other's reaching for the remote, or maybe it's the opposite.
Happens all the time. It's more common than people think.
Definitely. And that's what we're diving deep into today. We've got this text excerpt, Sexual Compatibility. What happens when your desires don't match?
Ooh, getting right to the heart of it. I see.
Well, we got to keep it real, right? Because this isn't just some abstract relationship problem. This is about how we deal with those moments when our wants and needs in the bedroom, well, they don't quite line up. And more importantly, how we can navigate those differences to actually make our relationships stronger.
Okay, love that positive spin. So often this topic gets bogged down in negativity.
Totally. But this text actually starts with a really important point. It says desire naturally flows in any relationship. It's normal, right?
It is. It's like anything else in life, there are peaks and valleys, but it's when those differences become a constant source of tension, a point of contention, that's when we need to pay attention.
Exactly. And that's where things can get messy, right? Because on an emotional level, mismatched libidos, let's just say, it can be really tough to deal with.
It can be incredibly painful. I've seen it firsthand in my work. People start feeling rejected, inadequate, resentful. It can take a toll on their self-esteem, their sense of worth. It can really put a strain on the entire relationship.
Like this silent wedge that slowly starts to push you apart,
100%. And that's why this text puts so much emphasis on open, honest communication. Because if you can't talk about this stuff, what can you talk about?
So true. But it's not just about talking, is it? It's about talking effectively, talking in a way that doesn't make the other person defensive.
Yes, it's about expressing your needs and concerns without pointing fingers.
Which, let's be honest, is easier said than done.
It is. Which is why I love that this text gives you some actual practical tips for how to have these conversations. First and foremost, timing is everything. Don't try to have this talk when you're in the heat of the moment or when you're both stressed and exhausted. Choose a moment when you're both calm, relaxed, and can actually focus on each other.
Okay, makes sense. Set the stage for a productive conversation.
Exactly. Second, remember the power of I statements. It's not about blaming the other person, it's about expressing your experience. So instead of saying you never want to be intimate, you could say, I feel a little disconnected when we haven't been physically close in a while, and I'd love for us to find ways to feel more connected.
Subtle but powerful.
It really is, because it's not about placing blame, it's about opening up a dialogue.
Okay, so you've had the conversation, you've been open and honest, but what happens when that gap in desire is still there? How do you actually bridge that gap?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the text really emphasizes that communication is just the first step. It's like building a house. You've laid the foundation, now you need to understand the framework.
So it's time to put your detective hat on.
Exactly. It's time to figure out why this discrepancy exists in the first place. Are there underlying medical reasons for one person's low libido? Is it stress, anxiety, something else entirely? Are there unresolved issues within the relationship itself that are impacting intimacy? Or are we simply talking about two individuals who have different natural libidos?
And once you figure out the why, then you can start looking for solutions.
Exactly. And that's where the text gets really interesting, because it reminds us that intimacy isn't just about intercourse. It's about nurturing connection in all its forms.
So we're talking about expanding our definition of intimacy.
Absolutely. It's about sensual touch, quality time, words of affirmation, those small gestures that say, I see you, I value you, I desire you, in ways that go beyond the bedroom.
It's about finding ways to meet each other's needs, even if those needs look different, right?
Right. And sometimes those needs might require a little outside help to navigate.
You mean like therapy?
Exactly. And there's absolutely no shame in that. A therapist can provide a safe, neutral space for couples to work through these sensitive issues and develop strategies for moving forward.
Sometimes you just need a little extra support.
100%.
So we've talked about the challenges, the importance of communication, some potential solutions. But this whole conversation got me thinking, is it possible that these differences in desire, instead of being a deal breaker, could actually be an opportunity for deeper connection, for greater understanding, for a more fulfilling relationship?
That's a great question, and one that I think every couple should ask themselves.
Because maybe, just maybe, those differences are what make us unique, make us interesting.
Exactly. It's about finding the beauty in those differences and using them to strengthen your bond.
Love that. Well, on that thought-provoking note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, but this is just the beginning of the conversation.
As always, until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep the conversation going.